This morning, we will have a healthy health conversation. And as we do that, our guest is already seated. So we're looking at a health conversation this hour. And we want to look at why health should not drive you into poverty. Why, when your healthcare seeking behavior should not make you get into a place where you have nothing. And to help us out with that conversation this morning is Sylvester Ouma, who's the General Manager, Retail and I'm going to say that again. Sylvester Ouma this morning is joining us, and he is the General Manager for retail and SME business with Jubilee Health Insurance. Sylvester, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to have me here today.
Yes, it is nice to have you here today. And
nice to have me here today.
No, I like the way you put it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Did you say Ouma?
Ouma.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ouma, because you have the right person.
No, I was just confirming. Only an Ouma can say that.
Oh,
it's
really?
nice to have me here.
Yes. Of course. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
So now that you've welcomed us, let's welcome you with today's proverb.
Yes.
CT, as you may know, has a proverb every week from a different proverbs every week from a different African country.
Yes.
And so he'll tell us what that is. You tell us how you would interpret it and what it would mean to you. Is that all right?
Correct.
Okay.
Tanzania has a population of around 63 going to 64 million people. These are many people. Okay? 120 communities, meaning 120 different languages. Different. Yet, they are united with one language.
True.
Kiswahili.
And one culture.
Yes. You know, this is something that isn't talked about loudly enough. When you talk about cohesion...
Yes. Tanzania's got it.
Oh, they've got it. They got it right. That's a springboard from which you now propel the country forward. An empty sack cannot stand. A full sack cannot bend.
Wow. There is strength in being together, in being tied together. That's what I will translate. And just getting it going, if I look at the Tanzania situation, the socialism that was brought in by Nyerere at that point in time, the undugu, the ujamaa thing, moving people from the villages where they were and clustering them together, leaving those fields for active agriculture, really made them what they are today. And so you'll never know who is a Chaga, who is a Msukuma. They stand as a people. So for me, unity. There is strength in unity.
I think it's beautiful. Absolutely. It makes sense for sure. Well, I guess now we understand why it's a pleasure to have you here in the room. So, we're looking at why healthcare should not drive you into poverty.
Correct.
And here's why. So, if we say that why it shouldn't, let's look at that broadly, first of all, before we go into, some of the different things. Are we in a situation where currently it would appear as though healthcare is, number one, difficult to access,
Correct.
and proper healthcare difficult to access, and that it is not widespread, that the number of people in Kenya, for example, who require it is not reaching them in the manner and with the efficiency that it actually should? Is that where we are coming from?
I would say that, yes, that's where we're coming from. If you look at the priorities that any government would have top of mind, each government would be speaking at any day about healthcare. Because of all the situations that we sit in as human beings or as people, health is at the center of everything. You miss something on your health, you will not be productive. Now, why healthcare, or why healthcare should not drive you into poverty is a topic that we cannot run away from, because around us every day, if you notice the last 15 or so years, there has been a steady incline of those Harambes that take people to India or to those facilities out of country. Why? Because conditions that we have gotten ourselves into are such a complicated situations that if you have a cancer, for example, that situation will not leave you rich after it's done with you. We've seen the best of homes, the best of the best in this country, having an issue with healthcare that drains the better part of this family's resources. And so, speaking of that, one single hospital bill has led families to poverty.
Yeah.
And so healthcare insurance becomes a very critical part of a day-to-day living of a family. Take an example of what you've talked about, healthcare as a necessity. Take an example of what even the government is trying to put in place. Yeah, talking about the shisha. This would be a controversial kind of a conversation. But truth be told, healthcare would be top of mind of a government.
Or should be.
Should be.
Yeah.
Top of mind of a government. So whether it works or not is what we'll be able to ask ourselves. But a healthy community is a productive community. And so at Jubilee Health, what we've tried to do over time is not only to educate the masses, but also to position products that makes it easy for the people that need to acquire the services to access those services, either at the facility or with the costs that match the services that they require.
Let me ask a question.
Correct.
When you talk about healthcare,
Correct.
it looks like as you get older, the issues of healthcare become more pertinent. In an earlier hour, Mark pointed out something very interesting, and when he talked about growth hormones, which at the age of 30 cease to be active, which means you start aging.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if you are my age, you are old. Okay?
You're a gentleman.
Well, yes. People like to say, all manner of euphemisms.
Silver fox.
Yes. But you are old. I don't know why it is this being old bothers people. You are old. And it is good to be old. However, it is very difficult for me to acquire new habits now.
Correct.
The population of people who are far from 60, who are half that age and even younger, the habits, the thinking that brings about the formation of habits that would bring about the situation you speak of need to start that much earlier. And since that population comprises 70% of our population, this is where now one gets the question. The industry that you are in, if we look at their penetration, it is not very encouraging. And yet, we do have the numbers. So, this conversation, I will understand it, I will agree, because the likelihood of having interacted with them and still interacting is high. What about those who haven't and who need to?
Very interesting question, Dan. Why I'm here today is because there is this generation that we need to talk to. And that's why Jubilee and even the regulator has been passing this message around health insurance continuously to the generation. I want to talk about the June 2024 generation. I have not missed it that much.
Not much 2023. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want just to mention names, but that population.
Okay.
So for us to reach this population, we have to be deliberate on what modes of communication we use. And part of that journey would be using the social media networks that we have, an opportunity like what we have today to sit with and talk to this population directly, so that we tell them, after that age of 30, any habit you create has a ripple effect downline in your years to come that is going to hurt you health-wise. And it's given, you'll see the population, and shocking enough, even the population that you're talking about, this population of between 30 and 45, are developing very complex conditions compared to the persons above the ages you're talking about. Because the kind of lifestyle we've engaged in, the kind of foods we've been engaged in consuming, the kind of environment that we have been brought up in leads to those conditions. If you ask yourself how many people aged between the ages of 30 and 50 that would be resting somewhere in hospital either due to a kidney failure or something like that, they are on the rise. And so we cannot shy away from talking to them within the languages of where they are. If you talk about our teams reaching out to these people, for example, we have a footprint of, say, 2,500 agents at Jubilee. What do? Even on that Friday evening before at your parking lot as this person walks into a pub, you'll find an agent telling them, please get yourself a health insurance. Yeah. Of the question that we ask a lot while you are being onboarded is, do you partake? Yeah, Mark, this looks on me, but do you partake? And at what volumes and what quantities? Because during the prudent underwriting process, we would want to see how we can help you. And then we have developed different ways of also communicating to these people. That age also likes being within gyms. They are the guys who do the hikings. They are the guys who would want to be at the forefront. You know, the weekend runs, driving out of town and all that. So what have we done? We've done lifestyle-based activities that these persons can partake in. That is a Maisha Fiti program, say, from Jubilee, where this person would not only be exposed to enjoying life. That application would give this person the number of kilometers they've covered in a day. What it even has the ladies' cycle calendar built in within there. You have all these things that we position so that these people are able to interact with the issues of medical situations on a day-to-day basis. On the age above the age of 60, what have we positioned there? Jubilee gives a range of products from, say, someone who is as young as a month old to persons above the age of 80. So what does that give you? Even if you've messed earlier in your life, we can still have you covered. But what we say, you cannot survive about in this country and in your environment without a good health proposition around you.
I have two questions for you. Question number one is that I have found in my experience that if someone has corporate insurance, you get a different kind of cover than when you have private insurance. Then question number two is that many Kenyans would love to have health insurance. But if you ask a Kenyan in January to give you 100,000, 80,000, 150,000 at once to pay for insurance, it becomes difficult. In fact, if car insurance was made optional in this country, I think the insurance industry will crumble. Because the cost of entry is so prohibitive. And I think that's the biggest issue that other Kenyans have. So let me represent them. When are you as Jubilee going to cut that 100,000 into 10,000 a month so that these people can afford you? Wonderful. It needs to be paid for like internet.
Wonderful. The only information that maybe Kenyans are not privy to is the fact that is already in place. We will not demand from you at Jubilee to pay you 100,000 upfront. We've made it very easy for you, very flexible for you, that you can purchase your medical insurance and pay for it in bits. This is what we do with you. We'll tell you how much is your cover. Once we've been able to ascertain what you need, you'd want to spend 100,000. That 100,000 will be based on some needs. It will be based on what you really want, what you really need. Yes. So we look at your level of coverage. We look at the kind of conditions and benefits you want to purchase. Then we will ask you to just fill in forms, or you can do it online. Recently, we partnered with our sister company, DTB, to offer affordable you can pay for your flexible payment. You can pay for your medical insurance in installments, 3 installments, 4 installments, 6 installments. And we're planning on getting into up to 8 installments. So instead of you paying for your insurance upfront, 100,000. We'd want you to pay for it the same way you'd pay for your internet, the same way you pay for your water. About corporate and individual insurance. Corporates negotiate for the benefits based on what they require for their employees. So what a corporate will do when we sit with a corporate, we look at the population size they want to cover. And then try and standardize benefits based on the employees' spectrum. Say, for example, in Kenya, we have people who have a child, one child, a wife, one child. They are singles in work environment. And then you have the gentlemen and ladies that are blessed who will have more than 4 or 5 children. So, as an employee... Oh, yeah. When we were growing up... When we were growing up, we had families of 11, 12. It was normal. It was one mother. Yeah. No, some people will be surprised, but that was a very common routine, maybe where I was born. I remember my village. So for an employer will be looking at this guy who has 11 or 5, and this guy who has none. How do I standardize the benefit so that everyone feels like I've taken care of them? So that's why the employer's package would be slightly different from the individual. But most of the individual covers are standardized, almost what you need within ranges. So we'll bucket persons between, say, those who need inpatients, or say 500,000, a million, 2 million, 10 million, or you need your international medical package.
Yep.
You're a Luopin who travels often, who has to be out there interacting with the who is who's. So you need a package that resonates with your lifestyle. So you need your international medical package. All that will be available within our shops. So that's why private medical insurance would be slightly different from the corporate medical insurance.
Okay, quick one. There's a problem with the insurance covers and specialists and hospitals. You go with your insurance cover to one hospital, they tell you we don't accept. Then you have to pay cash, then you go to claim. So how are you addressing the issue of ease of medication? Because sometimes you're told, oh, please, go see Dr. Kaluma. You go to see Dr. Kaluma, he tells you Jubilee Sichukwi.
Wonderful. Now that's a very good answer. This is what happens between medical insurance providers and insurance companies. I'll not be specific about Jubilee only, but most of the insurance providers. When you're a provider, you're a service. You give service on behalf of someone else. So Jubilee Insurance is the insurer. The person that we have insured is our client. But now the person offering the service is this third party who is called a medical insurance provider. We have to agree. These are tripartite agreement. We have to agree with the medical provider on terms that make business sense, not only to the medical insurance provider, but also to our business needs for the benefit of our customer. So there are those facilities that we may not have agreed with at the time of you going to this hospital. Now, for us to be able to be at a position where we have the best facilities for our customers at Jubilee, and by the way, we control the largest network of providers in this country, in the larger East Africa, because we are within the larger East Africa.
Yeah.
We have very specific negotiations with medical insurance providers. So this would be in the ranges of between, say, if we sit with you as a medical insurance provider, what are you bringing on the table? Are you charging us fairly? Are we getting the best out of you? Let me just give you a flip side to that. How much would, say, Panadol cost, the full pack of Panadol, normal in the shops?
A full pack?
Yeah.
Upwards 300 bob?
300 bob.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you looked at once you've purchased, you go to hospital, you have your card, and then you purchase, and then they tell you to pay at the pharmacy. What do you think they would have charged you there? Do you quickly look at it?
If you look at it, it's usually, if it's supposed to be 300 in the shop, you'll get it at 500, 550.
Surprise. Some you'll get at 1,200.
Yes, this is true.
This is true. So for you to be able to just pick it to the medical insurance, to the service provider and ask that question, Panadol is 300. You get it from the same supplier. Why don't you charge it at 400? The supplier will tell you, my markup is, so instead of the 1,000, instead of the 400, they'll charge 1,200. So those kind of negotiations are the things that lead us to, sometimes you tell the provider, until your costs, until your costs are within this limit, we are unable to work with you.
It's interesting you should say that. No, you wanted to ask a question. Please ask.
Okay, then we'll come. Okay, sure. So essentially what we are saying here is that because what we started from was painting the picture that a number of people who don't have insurance are not covered in any way, but then unfortunately calamity strikes and then somebody is sick, and the sickness that we're talking about is it's life-threatening and requires huge medical intervention to have this person back on track, and then of course comes a huge bill. But are we essentially saying that then with health cover and you're paying a little bit, per month or for whatever period, that you would essentially then be able to cover yourself from these calamities that would befall you or members of your family and then keep you essentially off the brink of this poverty?
Correct. You pay a premium. Let me use the example of what Mark said earlier. You pay a premium of 100,000. You have your cover of 10 million bob or even 500,000 bob. I'm just giving these as examples. So at the time of the happening of now a member of the family is unwell, you no longer have the 100,000. You have 5 million. You have 3 million. You have a limit in which you can comfortably get get to any medical facility and be supported well. If you looked at it that way, you'll see the concept that insurance is not about the money you spend every year. Insurance is about a possibility of this cover that you've taken, this risk that you're insuring yourself from happening. Of all the insurances, earlier I talked about motor insurance. Of all the insurances, health insurance is one of those insurances that are the most profound in terms of possibility of happening. The chances that you'll fall ill within a year, the chances that a member of the family will be taken ill are higher than you driving into a rock or something or hitting someone on the roads. So, and one case of health insurance, let me bring it closer. We've seen this happening around us a lot. We've seen this happening. Let me just pick a case that happened, I think, yesterday or the day before. It happened around a very popular person in this country, and is taking this kid to hospital. This person has adopted a kid and all that. Now it's gone to hospital with this kid, and he is asked, how are you paying? It is at the point of the question, how do you want to pay, that it hits you that I need a medical insurance. And then this person at the pharmacy or at the accounts, then that senior person in the country says, I want to pay via M-Pesa. Then he's told the fee, and then immediately starts to pay. He asks the question, how about if I was paying via medical insurance? How would I have paid? So that money that this person is paying, if you bought an insurance with it earlier, you only need to produce your card, and then we have already determined prices with these facilities. You'll walk out. Just tying on that, and towards the end of the conversation around cost, medical insurance is only expensive if you don't plan for it. It is only expensive when you don't plan for it. It should be part and parcel of your bills when you're planning. Say, for example, your kids will go to hospital at the beginning of the year, or when you're planning for your costs during the month. You need to plan for your medical insurance. You need to have it as part and parcel of your costs, because your health is what will make you produce the wealth that you are driving with. And with as little as at Jubilee, with as little as 6,200 shillings, 6,200, That's a mzinga. Mzee, what do you think? 6,200 is mzinga.
You know, those of us who quit drinking, quit drinking when Mzinga, a mature 18-year-old Mzinga was not 6'5", you know, you start at 25.
Okay, we are sorry.
So at 6,200,
we get your point. Yes.
You'd get a cover of up to 250,000.
Yeah.
At 12,000, let me give you 12,900, you have a coverage of up to 500,000 for your family.
Okay.
12,500 per annum.
We're talking about, look, you don't have to be on the brink of poverty just because you're trying to be healthy and avoid certain things. And so, Siti, your question.
It isn't often that you hear that an insurance company has folded. In this country, banks fold with more frequency. But every once in a while you do hear of, not insurance, health insurance company folding. And the promises that they make to those who have insured with them are not very different from the ones you've actually made. What happens? What is it that makes a provider of insurance services in the health sector? What is it that makes them stumble and fall? The reason why I ask is because every time I've spoken to people who are in this line of business, they tell me that that service is not the most profitable service for insurance companies, the health insurance. So it begs the question, then why do you have it?
Very nice question there, Siti. Now, I'll just give a little bit of a background before I get to that. When you get into this kind of businesses, the intent of those who set businesses are usually quite different. Maybe I'll start there. The intent. So what was the intention of you getting into the business? What was, how ready were you? And these are usually the general principles that would guide any business. How ready were you to do the business? What outcomes were you looking at? What kind of investments did you put in place? And what kind of controls did you have? So that is quite critical in any form of business. So I'll not be specific about medical insurance, but I'll broadly say companies that would have gone under for whatever reason, if you looked at the foundations that they may have had when they were setting out the business and how they managed the process, not only of business acquisition, but controls around the business and also management of the overall business. If you looked at all those, you'll find your answer lying in between there. Jubilee Health or Jubilee Insurance has been in this market since 1937. What that tells you is that there must have been things that this company has done right over the 80-something years that we've been in operations. And one of our biggest lines in terms of business, for over years, Jubilee has remained as a number one insurer in the larger East Africa. We set the pace, meaning whatever we do in terms of our operations, there is something we tick right. What we do in terms of our controls, and that brings me back to the question that was asked earlier about providers. How do we manage those providers? Because most of the claims would determine whether you remain afloat or not. So how do we manage our providers? What kind of providers do we bring on board? Number 3, how do we distribute our products? What is this promise we've given our customers, and how do we deliver on that promise? So over time, Jubilee has remained quite steady in terms of even the profitability margins that we've recorded over time. Now, looking at the current situation and how we look at companies operate within this country, I would say different companies are managed differently. The intents of business acquisitions are different. You can choose. Let me give an overall kind of a feel. You go to Marikiti, you can choose to have your spread at the entrance of the market, or at the middle, or at the core end.
Or where you're supposed to be.
Or where you're supposed to be. So immediately you get into the market, you choose how to position yourself. You choose a kind of product you want to give, the kind of profit margins you're looking at. If you get into the market and you sell Reja, chances are very high.
I'm sorry, what?
You don't know Reja? No.
Help me here.
Rarely went to Gikomba. So if you sell, you get into the market, but your business acquisition model is
piecemeal.
Piecemeal. You want to
Not
sell.
even retail.
Okay.
Yes, you know.
You want to sell for the sake of selling.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to get something very fast. You want to get literally everything into your shop.
Yeah.
You have to know how to manage the back end of that. Yes.
I see.
Let me address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is a disease called cancer. Cancer, ICU hospitalizations, chronic disease management. Those three things are what lead to poverty. It is astronomically expensive to manage high blood pressure, to manage diabetes, to manage cancer, to unfortunately have your liver fail and you're in ICU for 5 days. That is the elephant in the room. If we're going to talk about sickness getting you into poverty, it is those three things.
Correct.
Right? So how, honestly, if you've got insurance of 1.5 million, you can only afford to be in ICU for 4 days.
Allow me
so
to just
how would
allow me to just build on that just a little bit, because sometimes if we ground it, then it gives us an understanding, and then maybe you can come and tell us how we do it. So if you have medical insurance, for example, and we've gotten onto Jubilee, we've taken medical insurance, and it gives us what, 1.5 million. Is that the number you like? Mark, you like that number, 1.5 million?
Yeah, that's inpatient. Yes.
Okay. Now, right now, the medical facility that you go to that will give you everything that you need on the lower cadre, right? And we're not talking about your top tier hospitals. The one that where you will get your basic services, it'll be clean, functional. You have, medical practitioners worth their repute. Before somebody puts you, and you have one of these chronic, and you've had a bout of something, an infection, something that requires you to be in hospital, God forbid HDU or ICU, right? Your family member has brought you to hospital. Before anybody even looks at you, 300,000 shillings needs to be on the table. Remember that you have a medical cover of 1.5 million. So in their minds, and whether you have insurance or not, that's not their problem. Can that insurance make sure that there is 300,000 shillings available for us to even touch you? If they can confirm that, they go ahead. 300,000 gone from your 1.5 medical cover. All right. Let's say that your kidney failure. All right. So they're going to do everything that they need to do. There's an apparatus that they put in you. And I'm telling you this because this is a situation that we're talking about last week. There's an apparatus they put in you to be able to sort out your initial kidney infection. The thing without medication is 75,000 shillings. Okay. So now we're at 375,000 shillings from 1.5 million. It's gone. Okay. All the medicine this is day one. We're talking a matter of minutes. Everything that they need to put in you, medicine, catheter, gloves, this one has come, the other one has come. Another 114,000 shillings. You're surprised. I know the numbers off head. 114,000 shillings again gone. We're now at almost 600,000 shillings. Remember your medical cover is?
1.5.
1.5. They put the medicine in. Your veins are shot because you're in the state of infection. The kind of IV that they need to put in, they need to insert it in your neck. It's a big needle, and in that they need 5 tubes to be able to go into your heart for that medicine to go, because the infection is great. Another 90,000 shillings from that. We're now at 700,000. You have not started to heal, and half of your cover is blown.
Day one.
You've not slept,
You've not even done your
You've
dialysis.
not slept that. Thank you. You've not slept that night in hospital, and you're in ICU where there is 24 hours round the clock attention.
There's one part you've skipped,
Your practitioner, your doctor has not looked at you like this. This is just first front intervention.
You need to say, in between all these processes, they need to ask for permission from the insurance to do it.
They have to call.
When I was being
Authorization
admitted,
is the word they use.
I was told at 10, because my sugars were 23, admission.
Yeah.
I waited, I went home, ate lunch, was admitted at 6, waiting for approvals.
So So we're still going. Just to paint the picture because it's true. This is the case, right? So they're trying to stabilize the infection, and they say, okay, let's see what and mind you, this is so interesting because before they can confirm that you have that money, people are very busy. Nobody is looking at you. But the minute that they confirm, it's like a beehive. Everybody now suddenly is very busy because they've confirmed that the money is there. Remember, we started at 1.5. 700,000 shillings is already gone. Yeah, 50. Okay? 50% of it is gone. The sun is still high in the day. Dialysis in any facility today, and if they've decided to flush this, they're going to go day by day and then they'll see how much of it they need. But it's 8,000 bob a pop. Okay? It's 8,000 shillings for the session they do. They might do it and then another 12 hours they do another one because they want to get you well. Plus the medication that they're using, plus everything that they do. You know what? By day 3, your bill, apart from the 700,000 shillings that they have used, is 514,000 shillings, 1.2 million shillings. And you have one. This is 3 days.
3 days.
And you're still in ICU. Then they move you to HDU.
They continue squeezing it.
Well, actually, they are simply charging you what they believe it costs to keep you alive. Yes.
So, that is why, to keep you alive, exactly. That's what leads to poverty. So, if you don't have that 1.5, and even if you did have the 1.5, you're not 3 days in hospital for critical care. You're at least 7 days in hospital for critical care. So it's not your malaria. It could be the consequences or effects of prolonged malaria that keep you in critical care. But it is these big ticket item diseases that are driving people into poverty. Because somebody needs to rally around, get the money if you don't have it. Because in order to keep somebody alive, that's what they need to do. How then do we say that the person who doesn't have 50,000 shillings is going to be able to put their person in hospital who requires at least 2 million shillings to come out of hospital, to be alive? How?
It's very interesting that you know even the numbers of head.
Yes, so my brother.
And for that cover of 1.5 million, do you know how much the insurance company received as premium? Maybe 37,000 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
So let's bring it home.
That's what that's a false comparison because the financial burden of an insurance company and the reason it works is out of your 10,000 customers, not 1,000 of them require HDU and ICU. So the money is there.
No, but Mark, it is not false.
It's not.
You know why it isn't false? The actuaries crank these numbers.
Yes.
And when they come up with this, you're part of this big population.
That's exactly what I'm saying. We are agreeing.
It's called pooling.
Yes.
So, Ouma is right. What you pay is 37.
Yeah, what you pay is 37.
Yes.
Into a pool. Which they have calculated.
Yes. But you're paying 37 and getting service for 1.5 million.
Yeah.
That is just a simple fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, look at it this way. Someone did not pay their 37,000.
Okay.
You're better off. I don't know. You correct my English. The better evil here. What is better? Paying your 37 now and just surviving in case
something
you get to a point where you need the 1.5, or just stop. Sorry, you want to say?
No, just continue. I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. I will not lose the trend of thought that I have in my head. Yes.
So we do understand the nitty-gritties that come with those complex situations in hospital. And that's why on a daily basis, for us to get the 10,000 number that Mark is talking about, we have to come out and say it. Buy yourself a healthcare insurance early enough before that risk crystallizes.
Okay.
The service is not difficult to understand. The benefit is not difficult to understand. However, you are explaining it well, but you are the top tier of people who explain these things. There are some people you employ who explain this thing somewhere lower down the totem pole. It is not their fault that they sell the way they are trained. It is the way they are trained, and it's also the push and the pressure they are under to sell. Now, this communication that you've just put across here will not get you very many sales. Telling someone to buy something in the event. We buy insurance covers for our cars because we must. And if you don't have it, the police will stop you. Believe me, you rarely have an accident. But a day may come when you will. What is the conversation and the communication that you need to give so that the 37,000 shillings makes sense beyond preparing for that eventuality? Because most people, by their thinking, their culturalization, they'll think, what are the chances it will happen? And so what when it happens? You see, how do you communicate effectively so that one sees the benefit?
The communication around this is around what I've said earlier. Let's take a case of a minor surgery. Every day you'll come across a surgery. Towards the end of the year, you'd see a lot of posts around minor surgeries being done and all that. A minor surgery will cost up to around 100,000 shillings. But if you look at the costs that someone would have paid to get that minor surgery done, it would be in the ranges of around, say, 3,000, 4,000 shillings if you took that bit. Let me tie this conversation to the wonderful conversation we have in the country now. It may not sound very lucrative for city, but it is the Taifa Care. Just a did you know moment that part of the drive, we have the first tier 1 and the tier 2 and the tier 3. So those tiers have also the implications in terms of what is covered when you go to hospital. So the drive by the government is technically telling guys, apart from what I'm giving you as the bare care, you need to top up something so that a surgery within the shift would be, say, 67,000. But if your surgery goes past that, we not pay. So you need the private medical coming in. Now, the communication that we give down to the agents, and I really thank the regulator here, Insurance Regulatory Authority, has been communicating in very simple terms, not only to the larger citizens, but also to our to the salespeople that sell insurance. It's not only about the pressure that goes with it. The information is available. You can get this information on the websites that we have. The information is available across the social media platforms that we have about how basic medical insurance works. And there is nothing as practical as the fact that these things happen every day. Medical cases happen every day. So if it has happened close to you, even on your phone, you'll find a WhatsApp group running.
Let me ask you a question, Ouma.
Yes.
The industry that you belong to.
Yes.
Have you people actually ever taken the time to find out what it is that your would-be consumer or how your would-be consumer would like to be communicated to about health insurance? Have you ever found out? Have you ever done due diligence to find out how they would, I'm repeating, how they would like to be communicated to about health insurance?
Honestly, yes. Honestly, yes. We've done a lot of research around how our consumers perceive us, how our consumers want us to talk to them. And that's why now we're getting out to them through stations like this, through the media platforms. And how we tell them is that today you may not need it. Tomorrow you'll require it.
I'm interested to know, what do they say when you ask them these questions? What do they want to hear from you?
They want to be talked to in simple terms.
Okay.
They don't want to be told insurance jargon. They don't want to be told you are an inpatient. They want to be told, I am going to hospital, you are going to be hospitalized.
Do you know how Kenyans are afraid of talking about illness and hospitalization and death? Do you know how fearful we are about that discussion?
Wow.
And how superstitious we are
about these things.
You know, the other day, I'm 40. So the other day I called my best friend, I called my dad, and I'm like, listen, I need to write my will. All of them responded by saying, you're not dying. I told them, it's not about death. It's a fact that it's prudent planning. You see, so For Africans, preparation is calling the thing. It is manifesting the thing.
You're very right. There are parts of this country where even life assurance sales do not happen.
Yes.
No.
You don't tell someone when you die. We have to use the word, there are chances. It's definite.
That's why I asked about the research, because
Yes.
there is a way in which, and it's the people who will tell you.
Yeah.
And how they will tell you depends on how it is you ask the question,
Okay.
and how the dexterity with which you actually get that information.
Yes.
You can talk about that same product and it will resonate. Same. You will talk about that product and they'll tell you, go away. We do not want to hear this.
Yes.
This is something that is completely and utterly useful. It should be mandatory. And we know we need it.
Yeah.
But how we communicate it. I think you're right. City, this is part of what we will have to do a lot of work on as the industry and as the people within the industry.
I can say that at the same time, and it's possible that something that may make your work easy. The truth of the matter is that when people are met with a medical situation, because in not all cases is it an emergency, and somebody may have been sick for a while, and the truth of the matter is that when the affected see the struggle that they've been through to raise the funds to essentially have their loved one taken care of, or themselves taken care of and treated towards health, the realization that if I had put something a little away previously, then I wouldn't be in this situation. It does monumental things for somebody's action moving forward. The question is then, how would you tap into that realization to then ensure that, you've been, and usually, unfortunately, that realization only comes after you've been through the turmoil, right? So, as predatory as it sounds, how do you take that and use it to be able to convince? You don't have to convince the affected, because they know now. They know. Let's put something aside because you don't know what could happen tomorrow. But how do you use that to then preach the said gospel to other people, to say, you know what, guys, a little bit of something every day put away will ensure that you don't suffer tomorrow? How would you do that? Testimonials.
And the journey now that we're trying to get to is telling people who have already experienced our service, who have already experienced it, either directly, to tell the others that it works. Now, that is one route we are using. And just taking from where City left, just to answer your question, we are in a country where sensitivity is at its core. So if you really were on a WhatsApp group where you are doing a fundraiser for someone who went through a challenge, and you talked to someone from that group, for example, you told them, look here, so-and-so has gone through this, can you put some money aside for your own medical insurance? You know what they'll tell you? Insurance people just taking advantage of the fact that I was there.
Ouma, let me ask you a question, because the hour has reached. Why do you think you do not need to convince a Kenyan parent that they must pay fees for their child and that they will do anything under the sun to do so?
Yes.
Why?
Circumstances have brought
something for you to ponder, because they will do anything and sell everything to take the child to school.
Yes.
Why?
Wow.
What do they understand about
Education
that investment?
They know the benefit.
The benefit of education.
Precisely. How then do you get them to know the benefit of insurance?
Yep.
Wonderful. So what we're doing is purely communication. And City, thank you for just giving me that view, and for the larger industry in terms of how we position this health insurance to the people in words that they understand.
Absolutely.
And you need to ask yourself, as you answer that question, why is it that a Kenyan rarely goes to hospital unless the pain is too much?
It's too much.
Those are questions we'll have to answer. So just a call for action. Any Kenyan that is out there that really needs to speak to us, 4643 is our SMS number. 4643 is our SMS number. We have over 2,000 agents across the country. And you can also call us on 070 99 49 000. end also on our website. You can buy our products end to end on our website. So
Fantastic.
Straight through process on the website.
Sylvester Ouma, thank you so much for being here and sharing those insights with us. Definitely something that communication needs to continue. Sylvester Ouma is the General Manager, Retail and SME Business with Jubilee Health Insurance. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.